Okay, if we'd like to get started, I would like to call to order the regular council meeting of May 11th, 2020. We are doing this remote. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll? Mr. Christian, go ahead.
Dr. Campbell?
Here.
Mr. Sensei?
Here.
Mr. Council Magno?
Here.
Ms. Gibbons?
Here.
Mr. Hannon?
Present.
Mr. Harrison?
Present.
Mr. McLean?
Here.
Mr. Mowry?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Present.
We have 9 members of council that are present this evening. We have no chair announcements. I would like to, at this time, return to the reports, the officials, and the library director's report.
Good evening. My name's Christine. I'm the director of Your Public Library, where we provide services to inform, inspire, and enrich the community. As announced last Friday, Governor Wolf has moved Allegheny County to the yellow phase of the COVID-19 plan beginning Friday, May 15th. For libraries in Allegheny County, in-person services are not permitted until the county is moved into the green phase. During this yellow phase, the library will be acquiring appropriate personal protective equipment. We're having plexiglass shields installed at all service points, as well as acquiring masks and gloves for staff. In addition, staff will be reconfiguring some furniture and moving some computers around to comply with social distancing recommendations. At this time, please keep your library materials at home. We're not yet equipped to accommodate returned items. Late fees are not charged when the library is closed. If you do have need for a reference or research assistance, you can visit powerlibrary.org to chat with a librarian. Summer reading for adults and summer learning programs for youth will begin as virtual programs this summer and will transition to in-person programs and events when permitted and appropriate. Virtual programs for youth are currently being hosted on the library's Facebook page, and opportunities for adults are posted there as well when they become available. The staff and I miss everyone very much. We understand the frustration at not being permitted to visit the library and borrow materials or to attend programs. However, just keep at it, and whenever we get clearance from the governor and Allegheny County moves to a green phase, we will be back with you. So be patient, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from council? Hearing none, can we turn to the police chief's report and Chief O'Connor?
Affirmative. Police department, we have been busy. Business is good. We have been making arrests, the calls we've been going to, prowler calls at night, drug calls, domestic violence calls, psych calls, and disturbances by disorderly people. Under difficult circumstances, the officers have been performing very well, and I'm very pleased with their efforts.
Thank you very much, Chief. Is there any discussion from council? Hearing none, can we turn to the fire chief's report and Chief Dave Gerber?
Hi there. For the month of April, the fire department ran 30 fire calls. We ran 2 structure fires, 1 vehicle fire, 1 dumpster fire, 1 brush fire, 2 gas leaks, 1 set of wires down, 14 fire alarms, 2 CO alarms, 5 good intent calls, and 1 smoke investigation. At this point, the fire department, we're still closed up except for emergency calls. Anything that all of our outreach programs and all are on hold at this point. Hopefully, once things get back to going green, we can get back out into the community for fire prevention details and all the other stuff that we do. At this point, other than that, we're still staying safe. Like Chief O'Connor just said, if those guys are busy, we are not so busy. So we appreciate everybody's effort into staying safe during this whole thing in Bethel Park. We've been very good. We've had a bunch of fires, but they've actually all been out of town. So the residents here in Bethel Park are doing fantastic as far as fire prevention on their own right now. So other than that, that's all we have. We're staying safe and plugging along here.
Thank you very much, Chief. Is there any questions from council? Hearing none, can we turn to the mayor's report and Mayor Allen?
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. I just have a few items this evening. The first one is, as you know, last Sunday we had bells across Pennsylvania. We publicized it quite a bit and got a lot of good feedback from it. A lot of people are out there. So I want to thank all the residents who participated in that. The second thing I have is a proclamation. It's a proclamation for COVID-19 Helper Recognition Week, May 11th to the 17th. Whereas the spread of COVID-19 is a global pandemic affecting life, health, and safety of the municipality of Bethel Park and the residents, and whereas the residents, businesses, educational, religious, and other establishments in the municipality of Bethel Park are striving to comply with the guidance provided by the Pennsylvania Department of Health in face of this public health crisis. And even their compliance presents obstacles and challenges for financial, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. And whereas certain individuals and organizations in the municipality have showed exemplary courage, persistence, and fortitude in providing support and assistance in others during this stay-at-home period, even as viruses continue to spread, representing a risk to them, their own health and wellness and their immediate families. So therefore, I, Jack Allen, the mayor of Bethel Park, hereby proclaim the week of May 11th to the 17th, 2020 as Helper Recognition Week in the municipality of Bethel Park, and further encourage individuals to reflect and find some way, large or small, to acknowledge and recognize the people for the help in the community. The second thing I wanted to do is recognize one of our residents, and that's Rodney Ambrogi from L's Cafe. Rodney and his group, and there's quite a few in his group, they furnished 800 free meals to the Bethel Park community with the help of the Black Hawk Relief Fund and this Assembly of God Church. And he did such a great job. I'm going to be sending him a certificate of recognition for what they all did. I wanted to mention also, we're getting a lot of calls about primary election day. So scheduled for Tuesday, June 2nd. If you're planning to vote by mail, the county election office must receive your application by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, May 26th. The deadline to return your completed mail-in ballot is 8 p.m. on June 2nd. So if you want more information about that, you can visit our website, bethelpark.net, or you can call the Allegheny County Board of Elections at 412-350-4500. I also wanted to mention that the municipal building is now open to the public. The municipality is operating at full capacity, and they're actively accepting building and other permits, dye test, and all other functions. And lastly, we still have our food drive going on. The last couple of weeks it's dropped off a lot, but if you can still have food to help our residents, you can drop the food off at the community center Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can continue to support your residents or our residents and your neighbors. And that's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mayor Allen. At this time, can I turn to Mr. Hannon for approval of the minutes?
Here, Maury.
The first one is the regular council meeting of April 13th. I move that we approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Hannon and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve the minutes from the regular council meeting of Monday, April 13th, 2020. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I would like to turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls and Mr. Hannon.
I move that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality for bill list number 051120 for $1,260,595.57.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Hannon and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 051120 for $1,260,595.57. Is there any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, could I turn to the resident comment section, and I'll turn to Mr. Christian. We advertised for people if they had any comments to submit them via email. So at this time, can I turn to Mr. Christian?
So there are two resident comments. First one is from Mr. Paul McKenzie. Question, could the municipality look into doing something about possibly thinning out the deer herd on Ridgeway Drive? Thank you. Second comes for Celeste Pollock. And I quote, on Thursday afternoon, when I went out shopping for groceries, I noticed a few businesses open in Bethel Park ahead of the yellow phase reopening schedule set by our governor. One was a bar with an almost full parking lot and a customer entering without a mask. Another was a bakery with a packed parking lot. Is this legal? Are enforcement officers noting this and giving appropriate fines? I hope that our local officials are enforcing proper measures to ensure our safety, which will enable us to all get back to business sooner. Thank you for sharing this in your meeting this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Christian. At this time, could we turn to general policy and finance and Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. President. First item on the agenda under general policy and finance is resolution R51120A on 2020 real estate taxes. I move that we approve resolution R5-11-20A, authorizing the extension of the face payment date for the 2020 real estate taxes per the finance director's memorandum dated May 7th, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and seconded by Mr. Sensei that we approve resolution R5-11-20A, authorizing the extension of the face payment date for the 2020 real estate taxes per the Finance Director's memorandum dated May 7th, 2020. Is there any discussion of this item?
Mr. Maury?
Mr. McLean.
I just wanted to explain to folks what the background on this resolution is. When the governor signed into law what's become known as Act 15, which was the legislature's response to the COVID pandemic, it included a provision that allows municipalities to extend the date that real estate taxes can be paid without any penalty or fees being incurred until the end of the year. We typically charge penalties for real estate taxes that are not paid by November 1st. By adopting this resolution, we will provide that for real estate taxes only for 2020 only. We will not collect any interest or penalties on payments provided they're made by the end of the year. So this is an opportunity to give folks some relief if they find that they can't make their taxes or their tax payments until the end of the year. We're permitted by the legislature to do that, and so we're going to do that by adopting this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Is there any other discussion from council? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mallory,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda for general policy and finance are appointments and reappointments to boards and commissions. I move that we reappoint Mark Veman to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and seconded by Mr. Sensei that we reappoint Mark Veman to the Planning Commission with a term to expire December 31st, 2023. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mallory,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next, I move we appoint Mike Hudzik to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and seconded by Mr. Sensei that we appoint Mike Hudzik to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire on December 31st, 2023. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mallory,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next motion, I move that we appoint Carrie Ann Stair to the Planning and Zoning Commission with a term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and seconded by Mr. Sensei that we appoint Carrie Ann Stair to the Planning Commission with a term to expire December 31st, 2023. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison, can you say again?
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
There are no additional agenda items under General Policy and Finance.
Are there any additional items from council? Hearing none, can we turn to Health, Safety, and Welfare and Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Murray. There are no items under Health, Safety, and Welfare. However, I have one.
Mr. O'Brien.
The South Hills Elks has also provided some dinners for our residents. We are very thankful for that. And thanks goes out to Bonnie and the Pascuzas. However, they have a urgent need right now, and they have a program going on, and Jack mentioned it today in his Swift Reach message. So I'd just like to repeat it. The Pittsburgh South Hills Elks Lodge 2213 is holding a drive to collect plastic or cans of coffee for the veterans, doctors, nurses, and workers at the Oakland Veterans Hospital and at the H.J. Heinz Campus Veterans Hospital in Aspinwall. These two facilities need our help. They have reached out to the Elks Veterans representative asking for assistance. Now you can drop it off at Pittsburgh South Hills Elks Lodge 22113 is located at 2789 South Park Road, Bethel Park, PA. Please place the donations in blue containers labeled donations in front of the Elks Lodge double glass doors. Or you can call 412-831-0616 to drop off your donations. And I'd just like to have a special thanks to all the people of Bethel Park. In these very difficult times, they have done extraordinary things. And it makes you very proud to be a part of this community. Once we get back to normal time, I'd like to take some more time and thank people individually. And it's just been a great to be a part of something when our community is in such need. That's all I have, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Is there any other discussion from council? Hearing none, can we turn to Planning and Zoning and Ms. Gibbons? And we have no residents signed up to speak.
Thank you. Resolution R5-11-20B, Planning Modules Dream Greener. I move that we approve Resolution R5-11-20B, approving the planning modules for the Dream Greener development per the Director of Engineering's memorandum dated May 6, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons, second by Dr. Campbell, that we approve resolution R5-11-20B, approving the planning modules for the Dream Greener development per the Director of Engineering's memorandum dated May 6, 2020. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
yes,
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
there are no additional agenda items.
Are there any additional items from council? I just have a couple things. There's a couple things that we're working on the municipal side that council's planning a public hearing for. That is the long-range plan, Blueprint Bethel Park, and a public hearing on the B ordinance. Based on the COVID-19 situation, we have postponed both of those public hearings potentially till June, when we're able to have a regular meeting where people can come in and actually make comments. The second is there is an application submitted for rezoning in Bethel Park. Just to let everybody know, it'll be in front of the Planning Commission. That has also been delayed until the Planning Commission has an opportunity to meet and the residents have an opportunity to come and speak at a meeting. In both these cases, whether it's council's public hearing or the Planning Commission, we will advertise accordingly once the condition presents itself and we schedule a date. So we're going to be we've postponed these things and working on scheduling a date when it will be safe for people to come to a meeting and express their opinions. Are there any other discussion from council? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. Council Magno?
We have one item under Public Works and Maintenance, Resolution R5-11-20C, PennDOT Utility Adjustment. I move that we approve Resolution R5-11-20C, approving the execution of an agreement with PennDOT for the adjustment of 3 manholes along Route 88 between Corner Road and Corrigan Drive during the 2021 resurfacing project per the Director of Engineering's memorandum dated April 23rd, 2020.
Second.
There's been a motion by Mr. Council Magno and a second by Mr. Hannon that we approve Resolution R5-11-20C, approving the execution of an agreement with PennDOT for the adjustment of 3 manholes along Route 88 between Connor Road and Corrigan Drive during the 2021 resurfacing project per the Director of Engineering's memorandum dated April 23rd, 2020. Is there any discussion on this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes,
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Council Magno.
There are no further items under Public Works and Maintenance.
Are there any additional items?
Mr. Murray,
Mr. Harrison.
I'd like to just note that I've gotten a lot of favorable comments on the reports given by Mayor Allen, and they want to make sure that he knows that the public appreciates the report you're doing, Mr. Allen, and all the other people that are providing services that maybe aren't as obvious to the public. We want to thank all those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Are there any other discussions from council?
Move we adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn by Mr. Hannon, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. Meeting adjourned. And I just want to, everybody stay healthy
Yes.
and have a nice week.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.